Good afternoon, everyone. Mario Quintero here with the One Stop Shop for our weekly Happy Hour Live Facebook show. Thanks for joining me today as we're going to go over several questions that have been submitted by viewers and clients alike, and we will get started right away. So here's the first question from Maria. Mario, you speak about reverse mortgages on several occasions. What are the loan limits on reverse mortgages? That's a real great question. So what's the maximum that you can get on a reverse mortgage? First of all, on the standard HECM FHA reverse mortgage, right now, the maximum loan amount is $825,000. What that means is that your house would have to be worth between $1.5 and $2 million to get to that maximum amount of $825,000. However, if your home is worth, let's say, $500,000 to $1 million, then you're probably going to get a percentage of that, which will be less than the $825,000. We also have what is called portfolio reverse mortgages, which are non-FHA products, and the maximum loan amount there is $4 million. So you could have a home that is worth $8, $9, $10 million and get up to a maximum of $4 million. They work a little bit differently. The standard reverse is FHA insured. The proprietary has a independent insurance that insures that loan for the lender. So two different products, two different scenarios. We can help you with either one. And thank you for the question, Maria. Peter, when I do a refinance, why do I have to wait 3 days to complete the loan? Well, when you refinance a loan, whether it's a conventional loan, an FHA, a VA, or a reverse mortgage, these loans, especially on the regular ones, which are conventional, it's a federal regulation that you, as the consumer, once you sign all the closing documents, the government feels that you should have 3 days to think about whether you want to proceed and close the loan or you change your mind. You have 3 days to change your mind on any of these refinances, and if you do, you're legally allowed to cancel the loan, and it's like nothing happened. I mean, the lender did all the work, the title company does all the work, but you can't be charged any fees, and you can cancel the loan within that 3-day period. If you do not cancel the refinance during that 3-day period, then the loan will fund and everything will work out the way that it was promised to you and that you accepted. Karen, I recently closed on a home purchase. Why did I have to wait till the next day to get the keys to my home? Another great question. So what happens is when you buy a home, until that loan completely funds, you cannot get the keys to the home. That means that the seller has gotten all the funds that were committed to under the contract. That's when the realtor for the seller is permitted to release the keys to you as the buyer. Why? Because until that loan funds and the money's exchanged completely, the seller is still responsible for the liability of that home. God forbid, while the loan is funding, there's a fire in that house and the house burns down, the seller and their insurance is still responsible for that. So you don't want to take possession of a home until it fully funds and your insurance kicks in so that you're protected. So what happens is when we're going to do a closing for one of our buyers that's buying a home, we usually try to schedule that closing in the morning because it takes a few hours for the process of the and doing the final QC on the actual loan. All of those things have to occur in order for that loan to fund, so that hopefully by the end of the day, our buyer will secure the keys. So if you're buying a home and you have a closing on a Friday, make sure that you try to close before noontime. Because if you have a late closing on Friday, let's say at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and that loan now doesn't fund till Monday, you're not going to get the keys until Monday. So it's very important that you have these discussions with whoever is representing you so that you get your keys within the due time of the closing period and of the funding, because until that money crosses hands, there are no keys. So be very cognizant of that. Paul, how do assessments work in relation to buying a condo, and who pays for the assessments? Assessments are a funny situation because, first of all, the assessments have to be disclosed by the seller on the seller disclosure form. It has to be, you have to, as the buyer, given every opportunity to make a decision or negotiate who's going to pay for those assessments. Whatever agreement is made in relation to the assessments needs to be clearly stated on the purchase contract, who's going to pay for what and how much is going to be paid. It has to really be clearly stated. We recently were working with a client where we were ready to pull the trigger on making an offer, and we found out that there was an assessment coming. They went to the association told them that yes, they were getting ready to vote on it by all the owners. The pool area was going to be shut down for a year, and it was going to create an inconvenience for all the people that live there, whether they're investors and it's going to put a damper on their tenants or a new buyer who's planning to move into that condo. So they decided not to move forward and not to submit a contract because of the issue with the assessment and the construction that was going to occur over the next 12 months. And they didn't want to deal with any of that. So we're moving on to another location. So be very careful with the assessments. Make sure it's clearly documented on the contract who's paying for the assessment and how much is going to be paid by each of the parties. Susie writes, how are inspection issues resolved in the purchase of a home? First of all purchases should have an inspection done. Whether it's a single-family home, a townhome, or a condo, everything should be checked out to make sure that there are no issues or there are no issues that could occur in the next short period of time, 3-6 months, that can be negotiated prior to closing. So the inspection is usually the first thing that is done in the timeline of a purchase contract. Usually 7 to 10 days is the time period that you have to do the inspection by a professional. Sometimes that inspection requires that a contract licensed general contractor or a roofer, a plumber, or an electrician come in to really dig deep into whatever issues may have been determined by the inspector. And at that point, you should have the opportunity to negotiate a cure for those situations that may not be in your favor. Sometimes the seller may decide to fix the situation with licensed contractors and give proof that they have fixed the situation. In other cases, the seller will deem that they rather give you a credit at closing or a reduction in the price so that when you move in, you can take care of those issues yourself. Very important, though, that you have that opportunity within that 7 to 10 day period to be able to resolve any of the inspection issues that are identified by the inspection company. This one is Manny. Why are appraisals taking so long in the current market? Well, The reason is there's so many people refinancing and so many people buying the short amount of inventory that is out there that it has created a backlog in not only the appraiser being assigned to your transaction, but also the time that it's taking them to get out to do the appraisal and the time that it takes for them to finalize the appraisal. We're seeing upwards of 10 to 14 days before the appraisal is actually assigned and they call the client to go out and do the appraisal. So all we could say is you need to be patient because there is an issue out there right now in this current market with a shortage of property and a major increase in refinances that we've been experiencing because of the low interest rates. So all we can say is be patient and hang in there, and I'm sure your transaction will come to a close at some point. Why is it so difficult to buy a home in today's market, and what is going on? Well, just like I mentioned, there's a shortage of supply and there's a tremendous amount of demand, especially because of low interest rates. And a lot of people have, changed their goals and objectives with life as a result of the COVID. And people want to buy homes with a small backyard. Doesn't matter if it's a small yard or a big yard. They want to have their own private space. In some situations, condos are also experiencing that issue, but the supply of condos is a lot better than single family homes. So it's in relationship to the interest rates being low and still being low. And it looks like they're going to continue to be low for at least the next 6 months, according to what the Fed said yesterday, keeping them at 0%. So that's a good thing. But by the same token, you got to be patient. We've got buyers that have been looking for anywhere from 3 to 6 months. We've put in multiple offers. We've put in offers above asking price. We've put in offers above appraised value. But the thing is that the listing agents right now are trying to get the highest amount of money for their sellers. And in some cases, we've seen up to 25 to 30,000 above listing price as the offer that's being accepted. And if you don't have that kind of cash, then it's going to be difficult. But we feel that the market will start opening up in the next 6 months as a result of the possibility, I hate to say this, but 18% of all FHA loans right now are in default. However, the government is holding back the lenders from being able to foreclose on those properties. And there's a moratorium still in relationship to foreclosures. So until that opens up, there's going to be a shortage of supply. The builders can't build fast enough in order to improve the supply. And that's a nationwide problem. It's not just here in South Florida. So all we can say is keep chipping away, and hopefully the home that you want to buy is out there. You may have noticed that I'm not in the office today. I ran out for lunch to run some errands, and I couldn't make it back to my office because there was a major accident near our office on Kendall Drive, and Kendall Drive was shut down. So I decided to do the show here from home, and that's part of the flexibility that us realtors and mortgage lenders have to have all the time. We always constantly have to be ready to change gears at a moment's notice because we don't know what's going to be thrown at us next. So if you like the show today, feel free to share it with your friends on Facebook and other social media. If you have any questions that you would like answered or information on, we don't charge for answering questions or anything like that. Feel free to call 598-1600 or on my cell, 305-588-0451. We wish you the best. Have a great day, and hopefully look forward to a great weekend this weekend. Thank you, and goodbye.